Hey dudes, sorry it's been a bit. I've been pretty busy and also I busted open my head. I'm fine, it's not a big deal, but it does mean I look even uglier than usual in my introduction. Sorry about that. Today we're talking about the white cards in Homelands. I'm releasing these in chunks instead of the usual 4 to 7 hour videos, but I'll also put out a supercut in probably 2 weeks or so, assuming I don't, fall and bust something else. So if you prefer to watch it all in one sitting, that'll be available to you soon-ish. Without further ado, let's get into it. So to start with, we have Abbey Gargoyles. Abbey Gargoyles is a 3/4 that costs 2 and 3 white mana, for a total of 5 mana. It has flying and protection from red. And this is pretty decent, actually. Like, it's certainly not a super strong card, but a 3/4 for 5 mana with 2 keywords is pretty okay. If you think about it, it's only 1 power less than Sarah Angel for the same mana cost. Well, not the same mana cost. So this does have some issues, right? So it's 3 white mana specifically in 5 mana. That's rough. You would much rather see 3 and then 2 white mana. So this is definitely like weaker than Sarah Angel just on that. And then is protection from red weaker than vigilance? I mean, it kind of depends what you're doing, right? 3 is obviously a smaller number than 4, so it loses on that part. But this is not a terrible card, right? Like, people look at, people talk about Homelands like the cards are just garbage. And that's true for some of them, but there are some pretty playable cards in this. This even, like, 2 different people brought this to the Pro Tour. Now, there is the context that Pro Tour specifically required at least 5 cards from the legal sets at the time. So you had to at least bring a 4 of and a singleton, or like a 2 and a 3 of something. But at least 2 people thought this was the 5th most worth it to bring card with them to a tournament that they were playing a lot of white in. My point is this is pretty okay. The protection from red is really nice. Flying and protection from red together is pretty interesting because not a whole lot of red flies at the time. But you can block non-flying red stuff. But one thing that was kind of a consideration is Dragon Whelp. Dragon Whelp was one of the... it was a card that was played in early versions of Sly. It was... it's quite good. It's quite a good card, and this can block it and kill it even. So I don't know. Like, this, it's hard to look at this and say this is a good card, but it's not a terrible card. Like, as far as, like, if you need a white flyer, this is pretty solid, and the rate isn't awful, but the 3 white mana does really make it hard. This is definitely, like, it's only an uncommon. It's definitely worth grabbing in a draft, assuming you're going to be in enough white to, like, you probably can only splash 1 other color if you're going to try to get this out with any level of consistency by the time you draw it, but it's a pretty solid card. And the protection from red is nice. It doesn't really do too much in this set specifically, but in a wider card pool, the protection from red is pretty nice. I don't know. I kind of like this. I think it's pretty solid. This was illustrated by Christopher Rush, and it's fantastic. I really like this art. Christopher Rush has so many awesome pieces, and I wouldn't... this is not anywhere near the top of his pieces. There's a lot of his art that I like a lot more than this, but this is really nice. I enjoy it. The eyes are really cool. I like the kind of shading that he has. It's nice. I appreciate this one. But yeah, that is Abbey Gargoyle, the first of the white cards. So let's move on. Oh boy. Alright, next we have Abbey Matron. Abbey Matron is a 1/3 that costs 2 and a white. You can pay a white and tap it to give it +0/+3 until end of turn. Huh. So, a 1/3 for 3 mana is definitely not great. But being able to tap yourself to become a 1/6 is kind of interesting. I don't like that it costs a mana here. I don't like this. Maybe a 1/3 for 2 that can become a 0 or a 1/6 is too much. But, like, it doesn't have flying, it doesn't really have anything. All it can do is kind of take a pounding. It doesn't have banding, although you could combine it with banders. obviously. And in that instance, like it's actually pretty good if you combine this with a few banders and then keep it back for defense. But that's like only going to be good in like either very very casual kitchen tabley style games where you guys are playing a lot of random cards just for the fun of it, or like that's maybe pretty decent in draft too. But outside of those two like places, this is just never gonna do anything. And it costs so much mana. I think I'm being charitable. This card is pretty ass. I like the art though. So this is the first card we're talking about that has two arts. The arts for this one were both illustrated by Mike Kimball. We'll look at the other one in a second, but we'll talk about this one while we're here. This one is really funny. His hand's a little fucked up, but whatever. The face is just hysterical. And I actually like the stonework. I think the stonework's really nice. The perspective's a little off, but like whatever. It feels like a fusion of the Grinch and Margaret Thatcher. Or fucking what's that show? Probably on fucking forever ago. They get British nannies and they drop them off in some problem kid's house and they just fucking you know what I'm talking about. This looks like a scene from that. This is hilarious. This is hilarious. This is fantastic. This is really funny. This brings me a lot of joy. Art is great. The card does kind of suck though. It's not good. Maybe the next one will be better. And it technically is. Alright, next we have Ace and Bureaucrats. Ace and Bureaucrats is a 1/1 that costs 1 and a white. And you can tap it to tap a target creature with power no greater than 2. So this is kind of interesting. This, on its own, walls Hypnotic Spectre, which is really fucking sweet. Like, if they get out a Hypnotic Spectre early, you can keep that on lock for a while, which is nice. This is definitely not, like, awful. And it's only 2 mana, right? So, like, the fact that it's a 1/1 for 2 mana is, like, it's not great, but it's far from the worst fucking rate you've ever seen. The ability definitely has some niche uses. It's certainly not strong, and stuff like this is also kind of awkward because it specifically depends on your opponent having something that this does anything against. If their weakest creature is 3, this is just kind of a dead card, and if they don't run any creatures, this is kind of a dead card. I mean, maybe you can figure out some sort of dumb combo where tapping your own thing is really fucking good, but with the card pool, I can't think of anything that would do anything with that. I don't know. It's not terrible. But it's definitely not good either. This isn't the card you'd be like, oh, hell yeah. I don't know. I think it's fine in a cube, but I wouldn't be picking this. It can definitely do some things, and I guess you could combine it with a Royal Assassin to just turn after turn machine gun all their little stuff. That's pretty funny. You could do that, I guess. I don't know. I'm dragging my feet on this one. There's really nothing here to say. Like, it's fine. The ability isn't awful, but it's also not super good and not super valuable. And at best, you can say it's not the most egregious costing thing you've ever seen because it only costs 2 mana. I guess, you know, let me talk about the story here. I love the story of this. Like, this card is really cool specifically because it makes some level of sense. They're bureaucrats. They're charismatic. The point is, and so the story of the card here is that they are talking down some creature, right? But the limitation also is not a balanced one. Like, I'm talking about it like it's a balanced decision, but it's very likely not a balance issue. It's a lore thing, right? Because how would these talk down a Shivan dragon, right? They're just dudes. And so by limiting power, it limits it from, like, they're not talking down a force of nature, right? But, you know, maybe they can talk some sense into a white knight. Not a black knight, though, because they have protection from that. If this costs 1 mana, we could have an actual conversation about this card. It would would be debatably pretty decent in some things. At 2 mana, it's just, I don't know, man. Luckily, we do have at least 2 arts to talk about. These were both illustrated by Alan Rabinowitz, I think. I don't know. I'm bad with the names. I'm sorry when I get them wrong. But this is fantastic. Like, the art is beautiful. It's well done. It's very interesting. The details are nice. it has kind of a classy feel to it, which is really nice on a card called Bureaucrats. I don't know. I think, like, from a lore aspect and just flavor and story and all that, this card is a fucking banger. Sure as fuck would have been nice if it only cost 1 mana, though. And this one, I think, is equally as fantastic. I will say both of these arts kind of, like, they're the same thing, right? Like, obviously, they're not the same picture, but they don't really particularly tell much different. I guess this one kind of has a vampire vibe to it, and maybe this is a vampire-y kind of guy, which is pretty cool. I don't know. I like the art. I like the card. It's pretty weak and not super useful. There's definitely cases where it does shit, but I guess that's all I really have to say on this one, so we'll continue on. To Aeson Crusader, our first rare, I believe. Aeson Crusader is a 2+ star, 2+ star that costs 2 and 2 white mana. Aeson Crusader has power and toughness, each equal to 2 plus the number of heroes you control. Ah, interesting. I guess we could talk about this too. If you look over here at the errata, it now says soldiers and warriors. It's also now a human knight, not a crusader. So this card has gotten better with the errata updates on creature types and stuff like that. For heroes, I think there's Banalish hero and maybe 2, 3 more. There's not many of them. I can't remember any more off the top of my head. Soldiers and warriors, obviously. Well, for one, Banalish hero is now a soldier, or maybe it's a warrior. I think it's a soldier, human soldier. I think, and it doesn't matter. The point is that this has a lot more targets. It also synergizes with knight shit. It's kind of interesting, and it's certainly not terribly weak. It's not really anything new. It's a different take on Keldon Warlord, but at the end of the day, it's kind of the same concept and serves kind of the same function. That being said, I do think having one of these in white is a good idea. I'm not going to push too hard on this card for this idea kind of being a reiteration. I think it's fine to do stuff like that, and I also think white kind of needed something like this. Well, needed, no, because your high end should be Armageddon. What are you doing, right? Like, if you're going to do white weenie, you just fucking Armageddon, get your shit out, use your efficient removal on their shit and blow up their lands. But assuming you didn't do that for whatever reason, then you wanted to play more like this style where you're like building towards like having a big boy to like lead the charge. This is a decent high end for that kind of white weenie deck. So this is pretty cool. Like, this is not, like, I would not be surprised to see people built around this. Maybe not back in the day, because, like, again, you had to play with heroes, and Keldon Warlord doesn't give a shit what creatures you're playing with, so it's better. Maybe they thought that one was too strong, too. There's so many just inconsequential nerfs, or, like, side nerfs, if you will, to just various things on these cards. I don't know if like they were done intentionally or they just wanted to do a different idea. I'm not sure. The heroes thing is kind of stupid, but now that it's soldiers and warriors, like looking at this card as it is today, if it was that back then, I think it'd be really cool. Man, we are gonna rant. We are gonna rant about this later, but I do think you have to be like, at this point, the creature type was almost just a second name. Sure, creature types have been called out since Alpha with goblins and stuff like that, but unless you were specifically a fucking goblin or like a zombie or a merfolk, like that really didn't do anything. Yeah, we'll get to this later. I have the same complaint but larger later, so we'll worry about it then. I like this card. I think this card is interesting. My criticisms with it are just how specific the creature types are, and like, why are you doing this? I don't know. I guess like this kind of thing is fine for limited as like a high end, and you know, you build up with your heroes and eventually win. At least that's what I would say. But there's one fucking hero in this set, and it's a rare, and also kind of sucks. So again, like, I don't want to rag on them too much. They certainly were not designing around limited at the time. But even if you're not going to consider limited, like, what if this is the only Magic product somebody has opened? What are you doing? There's 0 common heroes in this set for like them to like, if you like, it's at rare. Like, depending on how much of this they open, they might open this and never be able to do anything with this. That's not I don't know. That's not good game design, right? Like, what are you doing? Like, let people have fun and, like, build the cards together. Like, this is a great new player card because it's like, hey, this gets better if you do this shit with it. And there's, like, that sense of accomplishment. Like, you're figuring stuff out. Just to get kicked in the fucking dick. Like, I mean, sure, Banalish Hero is, like, available in, like, all the core sets. It's, like, it's around. It's probably fairly cheap. But that's not the point. Like, if this is the only product, like, this also was, like, before the internet and all this other stuff. Like, there's tons of people that, like, their fucking uncle or whatever went to a fucking city with one of them newfangled fucking game stores and they picked up, like, a fucking box of this shit because they're like, well, how much of this crap were they gonna need to, like, play the fucking game? And they're like, oh, well, this is gonna, like, buy some fucking Homelands and Fallen Empires. They'll get what they want. And buy them a starter deck or whatever, right? And, like, that's all the, like, and then that's their entire card pool. So, like, I don't know, man. I think it's really crazy to do this and then just throw one hero in and make it a rare and make that card also suck. But we'll get to that in 2 cards. I don't know. I guess I don't. The core idea. Alright. I rambled on this one. The core idea, I really like. I think that the conceit of the card is very cool. I don't even hate that it's just kind of a rehash of a different of an old idea, because I think there is still a decent chunk of design space within that spot to, like, kind of mine. And white and red are kind of similar colors in some ways, and I think this is cool and fine. I don't like the whole hero thing and then no fucking heroes. That I think is just bullshit. But beyond that, I think this is pretty sweet. This was illustrated by Nene Thomas. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't know. This is fantastic. I'm a big fan of this one. I like the low saturation. I like the blues and the pinks, the red, purples. It's very nice. It's very aesthetic. It's a cool looking card. It's a bit of a disappointment though. Let's check the next one. Next we have Aeson Highway. This is an enchantment that costs 3 and 3 white mana. All white creatures gain planeswalking. 10 out of 10, this might be my favorite card in this set, because nothing gives me quite a jovial laugh as Aeson Highway. This card is hilarious. Obviously, doing planeswalking is stupid for all the reasons everyone's already said and talked about, right? Like, you have planeswalkers in your game. What are you fucking doing? And also, the conceit of planeswalking is just kind of makes less sense. That being said, when they do it, I think they do a pretty good job of it. There's the gazelle that's hopping around and stuff like that. I think the planeswalker in Legends is less of a good example. Legends introduces the first creature to have planeswalking, and it also introduces the card that says creatures with planeswalking do not have planeswalking anymore. Well, it says it doesn't work, but very hilarious. Very hilarious. Aeson Highway, the lore is kind of interesting. Like, a highway does speed things up. They're pretty easy to put down through the fucking plains, because you don't have to fucking fight mountains or swamps or forests or the ocean or lakes or whatever. It's the easiest place to put a fucking road down. So I like that conceit. It's a cool idea. It's very, very funny to me. Not just because the term planeswalk, not just because it costs 6 fucking mana, and 3 of it is white pips. Like, whatever. You have white creatures, you probably have the white pips. But it's also so funny that it gives all white creatures planeswalk, not just yours, which, sure, fair enough. But that's just so funny to me because you have to put 6 mana into this fucking thing, and then they gain the benefit just as much as you do. I guess you could run this with conversion against a red deck, and that would be fantastic. That would be, like, big brain. I if you manage that, like, you probably could have won before as well, but, like, whatever. But yeah, you could do that. Run this with conversion. That's pretty funny. This card is just absurd on its face. It brings me great joy, though. It's interesting that it's not a world enchantment. Anyway, this one was also illustrated by Nene Thomas, and it's fantastic. I like this one a lot. I really like the art. I like the thick line borders. I like the shading. It's just nice to look at. Oh yeah, I haven't mentioned the reserve list. Like, all of these rares have been on the reserve list, and you can get them all for like $1. So, go crazy, kids. Anyway, next we have Beast Walkers. Beast Walkers is a 2/2 for 1 and 2 white mana. Also, it's a summon heroes, and it's a rare, and you can pay a green mana to give banding until the end of turn, but only to this. So, first off, this card isn't awful. It's not terrible. When you look at it in the context of it being a rare, I guess if you want to, if you've decided by this point banding is pretty confusing and it should only go on like rares and stuff, like I'm with that. It's super fucking funny to me to make a 3-mana 2/2, give it 2 of the same color pip in the cost, and then give it an activated ability cost that's a different color. That's super funny to me. Because, like, it's harder to be able to cast this shit if you're running multiple colors. But whatever. Fine. That's very funny to me. It doesn't necessarily make this a bad card. And it's not. Compared to a lot of these, it's a 3-mana 2/2. It's fine. Bounding is actually pretty good and useful in very specific situations. Having to pay for the banding kind of sucks, but, like, in Limited, this is kind of gas. Outside of Limited, like, you have so many fucking better options. Like, I don't understand why you would run this. Unless it's just because you think it's neat that you can spend a green mana on it and you wanted another card to run in your white-green deck. And that, like, sure, man. Like, run whatever you want. Don't listen to some jackass on the internet tell you something stupid. But this card is equally baffling to the rest of these. It's like... The lore on all these cards is really interesting. It feels like they were built by someone who doesn't understand how this fucking game works. I don't mean to be too hard on them, like, a lot of cards are bad, but there's just so many things that, like, why does this have to cost 3? Why couldn't you take a mana off this and have it be, because it's a 2-mana, it would be a 2-mana 2/2 in white, like... Sure, but that's also not, like, the best white card. White Knight is that, and it has 2 fucking keywords, and this one has to pay to use one of its keywords. And its keyword is arguably worse than First Strike, and is, like, depending on the situation, definitely worse than, like, Protection from Black. But the point here is I don't know. Like, this is a rare. It's 3-mana 2/2 that has an ability that's decent, for sure. But... this one baffles me. It's on the reserve list. And, like, you can tell it's a shit card, and it's never been useful anywhere, because it's a reserve list card that's less than $1. It's less than $50. I don't know. It's not a bad card, but it's just, it's very symptomatic of, like, the issues with this set, and why people maybe don't like it as much as some of the other sets. And then, like, I guess while we're talking about that, I might as well say, like, this set is also just, like, on the back of, like, 4 other sets that were, like, disappointing to a lot of people for different reasons. Like, I'm a huge fan of the Dark, but you can't argue that the Dark was not well received, and that a lot of people didn't like the direction, and that a lot of the cards kind of sucked. Not all of them. Obviously, there are some really good cards. But, like, the same is true of, like, Fallen Empires, right? Like, again, then that set came out, and, like, there was way too fucking much of it, and a lot of people lost their fucking shirt on that shit. Like, before that, everything they got their hands on was just literally liquid fucking gold. Like, you couldn't keep it in the store. People were, like, killing each other in the streets to give you their money. And then you get Fallen Empires. And then you get Ice Age. And, like, Ice Age is fine and definitely probably better than those other two. But, like, personally, I fucking hated Ice Age. I had a miserable fucking time reading through it, because it's just cards from Alpha that are, like, kind of shittier, kind of confusing, and some just not particularly fun mechanics. And I like defend cumulative upkeep over, like, a lot of people. A lot of people really fucking hate it. I think it's kind of neat in, like, a couple of situations. I wouldn't build a whole fucking set around it, and I also wouldn't just, like, take Alpha and then, like, change all the names and make the cards slightly shittier, or some of them way fucking better, and then attach cumulative upkeep on it and say I fixed Alpha. So, you can kind of see where people are, like, just fucking sick of this shit. Obviously, not all of them, and I don't know. I'm trying really hard to, like, give Homelands a fair chance. I think people are too hard on it. I think, because, one, there are a lot of cards in this set that I actually really like. We've gotten to, like, not really any of them, but we will get to a couple of them. And I think there are some decent ideas in this set, but, like, so many of these cards are just, like, bad. And, like, I get the whole, like, we needed to power the game kind of thing, too. Sure. Obviously, Alpha's pretty strong. even if you take out the power 9, Sarah Angel is like the best fucking white creature you can have at the time. Nothing's better than Mahamoti Jin for blue. Hypnotic Spectre. There are some very pushed creatures in alpha, and you want to like get away from that, but like they're still printing the pushed creatures. Those are all in 4th edition, revised 5th edition, that you can get your hands on them still. I just don't understand for like the average, like what is the benefit here? And I'm not saying we need to power creep the game, but there's tons of lateral design space. You also don't need to make everything, you don't also need to add a mana to every creature every time you release a new set. Maybe I'm still mad about how dirty they did Legends. They've been doing all of this shit dirty. So, playtesters, developers, like, fuck you guys, man. Do some like, the initial designs on these are kind of, like, some of them are stupid, but some of them are really interesting. And we haven't really gotten to any that are, like, super stupid. There's you don't have, every card doesn't have to be meta relevant or have, like, be super cool or interesting or confusing or stuff like that. It's okay for cards just to be a little weird and dumb, but like, I don't know. I'm rambling about shit. This annoys me though. It's like you could have made this either 2 white mana or 1 and a white mana, and it would have been fine. And if you made it 2 white mana, it doesn't even power creep Grizzly Bear, right? Because that Grizzly Bear is easier to cast. So, I don't know. Fairly playable in Limited, though. You're going to get this out early, and then if you have some green and you have any chance to use your Bandon, you'll fuck on them and win the game. Pretty good in Limited. I don't know why else you would play this anywhere. It was illustrated by Heather Hudson, and I'm a big fan of Heather's work. I really, really appreciate it. This one is pretty good. It's... I don't know. It's not my thing. The guy in the bear, like, I don't understand what's going on here. I mean, I do. It's a guy wearing a bear thing, but it's just the way that the head is compared to this. It looks like he's just, like, kind of fusing out of it. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's okay. I like Heather's work, and I think it's well done. It's just that detail alone is just kind of throwing it for me. Anyway, that's Beast Walkers. Finally, we get to talk about a cool card. Okay, so Death Speakers here is an uncommon. It's a 1/1 creature, costs a single white mana, and it has protection from black. This is fucking awesome. This is not anything like super new. It's not something they haven't done before. A creature, a 1/1 for 1 with a keyword on it, like from Alpha, right? And like this is kind of like White Knight, except not as much. So it's not a super new idea, but it's refreshing, it's interesting, and it's cool. You can do some neat stuff with this. Pestilence is available. I'm pretty sure Pestilence is in 4th edition. So like you can get your hands on Pestilence, and you throw this in a deck with White Knights and Pestilence. That's kind of neat, right? Kind of neat, because you can use this with your Pestilence to keep your Pestilence going, and you can ping your Pestilence like 4 times. This thing won't take any fucking damage, and bada bing, bada boom. Very cool. Very neat. And if you're struggling against black decks with your white weenie deck, you could, I mean, I don't know why you are. You're probably running White Knights and maybe Order of Leaper. Well, you should be. So, like, I don't know why that would be a problem for you, but if it is for some reason, you could toss a couple of these in the sideboard. This is neat. There are things you can do with it. It's not particularly strong. I would much rather have, like, a 1/1 with First Strike or a 1/1 with Flying. Protection is really, really good, specifically if you're playing against that color, but otherwise it does nothing. So it's very kind of binary. And I guess not even binary, because there's, like, they could be playing red, right? They could be playing white. They could be playing blue. They could be playing colorless. They could be playing green. So there's more off states than on states. Still, though, like, at the time, the meta was pretty heavy black. Not only is it pretty heavy black, but it's, like, Hypnotic Specters and Necropotence and other stuff. So this is probably not doing too much against that. But it does survive. Like, they can't Drain Life it. That's pretty neat. That's pretty interesting. I don't know. I think this is decent. And not only do I think this is decent, but I think this is cool. And I think this is fun, and I think this is interesting. All while being just reused ideas. There's no problem with having, like, different variations of cards that had already existed. I think that's kind of neat. And I think this is done well. I think this one is awesome. It's definitely not, like, super strong, right? Like, it's probably technically one of the worst 1/1s for 1 white mana with a keyword. But it's really, really good in a couple of instances specifically. At least good enough to, like, try it. I don't know. I like this one. I think this is really cool. I think Homelands needed more shit like this. This one was illustrated by Douglas Schuler. Love it. Fantastic. Douglas, it's really fun to see Douglas kind of like develop on his technique and to like get better in these early sets. I think that's really cool. I really like a lot of his earlier stuff, and this is, I wouldn't call this like boring, but it's certainly not a super interesting piece, but it's also not supposed to be. Like I think it tells a cool story. It's really well done. It's interesting. I like it anyway. Ah, Hasdur the Abbot. So Hasdur the Abbot here is a rare 2/5 creature. He's a summon legend. This could be your commander. Anyway, he costs 3 and 2 white mana. You can pay X and redirect X damage dealt to any white creature back to the Abbot here. So that's fun. And I mean, he's a 2/5, so he can take a bit of a licking. Like if somebody throws a lightning bolt at a key creature, you can pay 3, tap this, and your boy Abbott here will eat it. Yeah. That's not good. Well, for one, the rate is fucking awful. If you're spending all of your mana preventing each individual, like 1 mana per damage, you are gonna get so far behind. Like, so far behind. There's no, I don't, unless you're making, like, infinite mana, sure, and then it's like, why don't you just fucking win? Like, I don't really see any sort of instance where this is particularly good. It's also insulting because you have to tap him. If this was just like X and like send the damage to him, maybe I'd feel a little differently about it. I still think it'd be stupid, but you could at least do it multiple times. But again, there's like, I can't think of any instance where this would generate you any sort of real value. And even if it did, it's going to cost you way more mana than it would. Like, you would be better off just reinvesting that mana in getting more resources. You don't need me to tell you this is bad. Again, it's rare. It's on the reserve list. You can get it for like $50. It's not a good card. It is interesting. I appreciate that it's a legend. I appreciate that they're like trying to do some sort of narrative storytelling in this set. I think that's fantastic. And I think the story is really fucking cool. I just wish these creatures had like useful abilities that would like help you win a game ever. But I guess that's too much to ask. And, like, you can't even, like, run artifact creatures in this deck. I mean, you can, but you can't save them with this. Yeah, I don't know. I guess there's not much else to say about this one. It was illustrated by Dan Frazier, and is hilarious. This is really fucking funny to me. It's a little unsettling, I would say. But I think it's well done. I think it's fantastic. I kind of appreciate it for that. But I guess I'm done talking about Hasdur the Abbot. Let's move on to a card that hopefully isn't quite so bad. Oh, hell yeah, Leeches. Alright, so Leeches is a bad card. One, specifically from Limited, there's no poison counters in this set. Maybe I'm wrong about that. God damn it. Oh my god. Maybe there's poison in this fucking set. I looked through the whole fucking set, but my eyes glazed over before I even got to the fucking green cards. So I guess we'll just fucking never know. Point is for a draft, I don't think this is worth it because I'm almost positive there's no poison in this set. That being said, obviously they weren't designing for Limited. And I really like this card. Not because I think Poison needed an answer. I don't. I think Poison was fine at the time, and I think it's, for the most part, always been fine. And some people really do not like Infect, and I get that. But I think it's fine. I don't think it's ever been ruinous to the game in any way. But people fucking hated it. Even back then, people complained about getting poison counters and not being able to do anything about it. There's so much healing even in alpha, and it was like a health bar that you couldn't heal. And I think that just rubbed people the wrong way after being like, because it was like Healing Salve and Stream of Life and then Spirit Link and El Hajjaj. I didn't say all those in order of release, but like the point is there's a decent chunk of healing, and even considerably more by this point. So players, could sit on all of their fucking healing spells and like their fucking like Wall of Stones and Wall of Swords and just rack that shit up and then eventually deck out or whatever. Again, broad strokes. Every person looked at this differently, right? Like, I'm not saying that all the people were whiny babies back then. The same amount of people that were whiny babies back then are roughly the same amount of people that are whiny babies today. Some people complain about shit, some people don't. But I think leeches is interesting, right? Like, because they're like, okay, fine, here, you can remove the poison counters. I assume the damage is because of like Vorthos reasons. Oh, you're putting a leech, it's sucking blood, it's gonna do some damage, but it gets the poison out. That is a very elegant way of describing what's going on. The story there is really, really neat and interesting. It is really funny because like the poison creatures also did damage at the time. Like the 2/2 I think gave you 2 poison counters and did 2 damage to you, and the pit viper. No, it's marsh viper and pit scorpion. Marsh viper might have been a 1/1 too. Actually, I don't remember. It gave you 2 poison counters, and pit scorpion gave you 1, but they both did damage too. So like if you get hit 9 times by a pit viper, a pit scorpion, if you get hit 9 times by a pit scorpion, you're down to like, you have 9 poison counters, then you're down to 11. So like then if you cast leeches, you would have 0 poison counters and be down to 2, which is really fucking funny. That being said, you are in the color of healing, and the only people that were probably bitching about this were the people that sat back and did healing shit, right? Like the people that like, that's how they wanted to interact with the game. They wanted to like cancel out what you were doing and hide behind a wall, and like, and I'm not criticizing anyone for playing the game any way they want to, but I don't know, like anyone else either just takes like, I guess other people, like anyone who like felt like they wrongly lost or felt that they unfairly lost, people are gonna bitch about anytime they lose. But like most people, when you look at like poison and stuff like that, it's just like, okay, well, win faster or like blow up their creatures before they hit you, right? Like those are the solutions. And obviously, like this depends and stuff, but we're not even like, we're not talking about hyper-tuned modern decks that are like kicking your ass on turn 2 or 3, like fucking Marsh, like the poison, like the poison creatures is a 3 mana 1/1, and I think Viper might be 4. It's 4 or 5 mana for like again a 1/1 or a 2/2. Like they are expensive creatures, and like Serpent Generator is fucking insane. You have to spend so much to get that going. So it's not like you were getting fucked on turn 2 or 3 here. Yeah, I don't know. So I really like leeches. This also makes them use their healing resources, right? Like if they're going to care that much. Oh, I should have mentioned Ivory Tower. That's also like the way best fucking healing at this point. Anyway, leeches it's whatever. Like it's not a good card. It's not like a card that you should ever run for any reason. But it's a card that the community wanted, and I think that's kind of beautiful. It's also the most expensive reserve list card we've talked about. So see, it's desired. People wanted their leeches. They still do. They need their leeches. I can't even tell if this is overcosted or undercosted or anything, because in my opinion, it's such a nothing card. But I think it's funny, and I think it's well done. I think the lore is well done, and I think it's interesting. And if you were enjoying the games where like this made a difference, like hell yeah, I'm glad you got a card that made a difference. I don't get it though, personally. But anyway, leeches was pretty cool for reasons not gameplay related. So let's move on. All right. Next we have Mesa Falcon. Ooh. This one is a common. It is a 1/1 Falcon, and it costs 1 in a white mana for 2 mana. It has flying, and you can pay 1 in a white mana to give it +0/+1 until end of turn. Fairly decent, honestly. Like, in draft, definitely. Like, take the flyers, man. A 1/1 flyer for 2 is, like, that's the best you're gonna get in most drafts. Might as well take it. It's definitely pretty sweet. Just fly over their shit. The ass pumping here, or the butt pumping, is, like, obviously it's not good, but, like, it's not, like, hurting the value of the card. It's fine. If it ever comes up, it's nice to have. It's fine, right? Like, this is fine. This is a nuts and bolty card. It's a flying, it's a falcon, it's, I don't know, dude. This one's fine. It's better than most of these. It's a common, so you're gonna see them. But yeah, I would like it. I would draft these for sure, 100%. Like if you were for whatever reason wanting to do just Homeland cards, I think this one would be a pretty good one to play. Outside of that, like you got better options, but again, like a 1/1 with flying for 2 mana is not like egregiously bad. So like if it's that plus anything, it's okay. It's fine. But these were illustrated by Mark Poole. I like them both. I'm a big Mark Poole fan. I like his work. This one is really nice and great. I like, again, the darker shading here, and the kind of makes it feel more close than the rest. I don't know. I'm stupid and easily tricked by perspective fucking with, I don't know. But I don't know. I like the boldness. It kind of like makes the bird feel more present. I don't know. I like looking at it. Let's look at the other one. Oh yeah. This one is way better to look at, in my opinion. I really like this one. I like the I really like how both the background and the bird kind of share. Like, it goes dark and then a bit lighter and then it goes more orange, and both the bird and the background, the sky. Fuck, I can't talk. I don't know. I like looking at it. I like Mark Poole's work. But yeah, it's not a bad card. I wouldn't laugh at you. Like, say you brought it to a pro tour or something. You gotta do what you gotta do, right? Let's move on. Prophecy. Prophecy is interesting. So let's talk about Prophecy. Prophecy is a common. It's a sorcery that costs 1 white mana. Reveal the top card of target opponent's library to all players. If it is a land, gain 1 life. That opponent then shuffles his or her library. Draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. Alright, now first off, this isn't good, right? This isn't strong. But it is really interesting. And this would probably be a card people talked about occasionally today if it was an instant. If it was an instant, you could do really fucking funny things with people, with like people's vampiric tutors. At a sorcery, I guess you could fuck with their sensei's divining top. They can, like, in response, do stuff, yeah, assuming they're not, like, tapped out, but anyone with, like, an instant, and I guess you could fuck with an Imperial Seal. If they had an Imperial Seal and didn't have a way to, like, instantly draw the card, you could fuck with their Imperial Seal, because that's also a sorcery. But they're gonna Vampiric Tutor at the last possible opportunity before they draw the card. The only time you're gonna get somebody on that with this is if they're like you're gonna get them once and maybe twice if they don't learn if they don't learn quick. But eventually they're gonna figure it out. So the fact that this is a sorcery does mean it's kind of bad. Whereas this card would actually be definitely niche, but like maybe even like vintage playable. Maybe not, but like it's certainly like, if this was an instant, it would be so sick. But that's not the card we're talking about. The card we're talking about is a 1 mana sorcery that reveals the top card of an opponent's library. If it's a land, you gain 1 life. And then that card gets shuffled away. And then you draw a card at the upkeep. So it's a 1 mana replace itself, which on its own is pretty decent. Like, this card is not, like, terrible. If you're in white and need deck thinning really bad, you should probably play, like, Urza's Bauble before you play this. But if that's not enough for whatever reason, this isn't the worst thing in the world. It's certainly not, like, good. It's not a good card, but, like, there's stuff there, right? I really wish this was an instant. If this was an instant, this would be so fucking sick. This would be very cool. But even at a sorcery, I love this card just because of how fucking much it makes you think, right? Like, this is actually kind of a pretty new idea. There is, like, some level of doing stupid shit like this before, and, like, a lot of it's bluishy. Like, there is some of this kind of top deck look and manipulation stuff going on. There's a Sphinx in Legends that's white that does something like this. These are interesting ideas. This is, like, just on the cusp of being actually pretty decent in a weird niche situation. I don't think it is, though. Like, again, like, against Imperial Seal and maybe Sensei's Divining Top, I'd be willing to, like, put this in a commander deck, right? Like, because you're usually, like, if you have 1 dead fucking card in your hand there, like, it's not the end of the world, and it would be so fucking funny to rip this off on someone after they fucking did a, like, top deck manipulation for their combo, and you're just like, yeah, but what if I did this? You might start a fight, though, so, like, make sure your friends can take a joke before you do that. But again, without the instant speed, I don't think this is actually good. But it is a 1 mana slow trip, and that on its own is, like, fine. Like, this is certainly not terrible. It's more interesting than actually good. It was illustrated by Christopher Rush. I like the art. Very cool. It looks like Isan Shade, I think, is what's going on there. Just pretty neato. Pretty neato spaghetto. I guess that is prophecy. Let's skedaddle on though. I guess it's really all I have to say about this one. I think it's really cool. All right. Next we have Rashka the Slayer. This is a 3/3 legendary creature that costs 3 and 2 white mana. Can block creatures with flying. Okay. And if assigned to block any black creatures, Rashka the Slayer gets +1/+2. Okay. Uh so it's a 5 mana 3/3. With reach. And if they have a black creature, it gets +1/+2. So obviously this is bad. It's terrible. It's like I don't know. There's like no story here, right? Like I guess it's probably because this character is difficult for Baron Singir to deal with. So that's all right. Fine. Maybe there's a good lore and Vorthos reason for this, but like there's nothing to build here. There's like again, this is just a great example of like the people that like wrote these cards don't like understand the gameplay at all. It's like what purpose does this card serve other than specifically like story decks? It's 5 mana. It's not even good at all unless your opponent is playing black. What are you just gonna throw this in your sideboard? Like you have like there's just so many better options. And every card doesn't have to be better than the previous cards, but this is I don't know, this is just getting ridiculous. Like this is an awful, but it's an uncommon, it's a legend, and remember, legend is a downside. Legend, sure, it's cool, it has story, but this is a downside. Like if you're going to put legendary on a creature, its stats shouldn't be worse than creatures you can run 4 copies of, and that you can have multiple copies of in play. I mean, you can run 4 copies of a legend. Although I think this was still when the legends were restricted. Legends were on the restricted list for lore reasons for a while. I don't know if they stopped that by this point, but it's very possible this card was restricted as well. I don't know. This is hard to defend. It's hard to like look at this card and say, "Oh, this is neat. You could do this with it." It's not even like protection from black where you could like do some kind of thing with it. This is like, what are you gonna like fucking run this with Death Lace? Like, get the fuck out of here. It's not good. It's not consistent. It's super expensive for what you get. It's just a bad card. And I don't like seeing like cool, legendary, important characters in the story just being garbage cards. But I guess what can you do? I don't have more to say about this one, but we have another card coming up, and part of my feeling on this one will be better explained at that point. So for now, I'll just say that it's a cool name, it's a cool concept for like a character, but the card is bad. I mean, yeah, I guess if it ends up in your like draft pile, put it in your deck against the dude running a lot of black cards, but otherwise it's just I don't know. I guess you can block a Hypnotic Spectre with it, and only like 5 turns after the Hypnotic Spectre ripped out all your cards. So it's got that going for it. This was illustrated by Christopher Rush, and it's fine. The anatomy is a little off. It's certainly not my favorite piece of his, but it's not terrible. Let's move on. I don't really have anything to say about this one. Oh boy, this is a good card. All right, so this is Semite Alchemist. Semite Alchemist is a 0/2 that costs 3 and a white mana for a total of 4 mana, and you can pay 2 white mana and tap it to prevent up to 4 damage to a creature you control. Tap that creature. That creature does not untap during your next untap. Why? Why are we putting a stun counter on it? Why is this so bad? Why does it need to be so Semite Healer is a card that, like, you're printing in Revised and 4th edition. Like, sure, the blocking up to 4 is pretty cool, but you don't need to call it's not so cool that you can get away with costing a 0/2 for 4 mana and then make you pay 2 white mana to do it. And then the creature gets a stun counter on it. Like, how does any of this work out in your favor for you winning a game? You spent 4 mana on this thing that does nothing to progress your game plan. Then the thing that was progressing your game plan, like, they lightning bolted it or fucking whatever, or like attacked it, or like you blocked it. So then you have to pay 2 more mana and this to prevent that damage. But if you're doing that, at the time, tapped blockers didn't deal damage, right? So, like, then that thing wouldn't, like, you would stop it from, you would chump up, like, you would prevent it from dying and you would stop that attack from hitting you. But then the thing has a stun counter on it. Like, I do not understand, like, how this... Well, I do understand. It's bad. It's a bad card. Like, this is a really bad card. This might be one of the worst cards we've seen in a while. It's very bad. It's expensive. The stun counter, like, okay, it doesn't actually give a stun counter, but that's what a stun counter does. You put a stun counter on it, like, you take the stun counter off, and they don't untap. Same kind of thing. If this card was made today, it would probably say, put a stun counter on them, or something like that. But this is insultingly bad, right? Like, the prevent up to 4 is really cool. It's kind of a cool idea, because preventing 1 from Semite Healer is a little rough. But that's a 2 mana 1/1 with a useful ability. I think it's a 1/1. Whatever. Whatever. Its power doesn't matter. I think it's 1 toughness. But this is just... I don't understand why this is so bad. I don't understand why this card needed to be so unappealing to play. I don't know. I get why people are like, this set sucks. Look at this. This thing sucks. And I'm not saying you can't, like there isn't stuff you can do with this. But this is bad. This is obviously bad. Just fucking have a healing salve in your hand if you care that fucking much about keeping something alive. It's so funny. And the thing is that I could maybe cope myself into saying that this card was decent, but it says a creature you control. So you can't even, like, prevent 4 damage that isn't happening, or, like, prevent 4 damage to a creature and then stun tap it if you were, like, using Pestilence or something and, like, just hit everything and then be like, yeah, you took damage, so I prevented, during the damage prevention, I can activate this, and then your thing doesn't untap for a turn. I would maybe say, yeah, there's a situation maybe where you could get some value out of this, but you can't even do that. Like, you can save your creature and make it useless for a turn, and that's all you can do. I mean, it can save itself, then it stuns itself, and then it can't save something later. Yeah, I don't know. This is just really bad. It's kind of disappointing. The art's really good. This was illustrated by Tom Varnestrand, or however that's pronounced. And I like the art. The chemistry bottles are super cool. Or alchemy, I guess, technically. He's an alchemist. Kind of the same thing. But this is very cool. It's only one of the 2 arts we have, and I think the other one I like a little bit better. I do like this one, but this one is a little bit better in my opinion. Not because the other one is bad or anything, but I really like the window with the sun shining and there's stuff going on, the little smoke from this, and there's just more details. And, I mean, they're both kind of telling the same story, but I think this one is telling more of it. The other one, the guy's, like, leaning in close to looking at a specific mixture, but this one just kind of gives more context. Not really, like, it's not really saying anything different. I don't know. I like this one better. I guess I don't know exactly why, but I like this art better. Let's see what's next. All right. Sarah Avery. This one is a rare. It is an enchant world, which is interesting, that costs 3 and a white. So it's a total of 4 mana. All creatures with flying gain +1. This is pretty cool. I do think it's overcosted. I think like 3 mana would be fine. I think you could do 2. I don't think that would be an issue. But I do think this is fine. I think this is relatively interesting. I think this is pretty good, specifically in limited. And I think that for a few reasons. One, flying is just good, and everything is overcosted in this. Like you could spend 4 mana on getting all your creatures to kill them probably at twice as quick, maybe not quite, but most of your flyers are probably 1/1, so this doubles their power. Or you could spend it on a thing that prevents you taking 4 damage and stuns you. I would rather spend that on this. No, yeah, being serious, I do think that this has some like tactical advantages. So for one, flying creatures are really good, so you should be taking as many flyers as you possibly can get your hands on. And we have some common ones, right? Like there's plenty of Mesa Falcons flying around, and maybe some other ones we'll see in the other colors. So there is some flyers that you can use for sure. This is overcosted for what it is, but it's not ridiculously overcosted. 4 mana is not like egregious. It is like it's probably egregious and constructed, but then in limited, this is fine. It's fine. It is a rare. You're likely only to get one if you get one, and I don't know that I would say this is the best rare to get, but it's certainly not the worst thing. But this also has the tactical advantage of being an enchant world. So enchant worlds, how they worked is there could only be one in play at a time. So if you had an enchant world in play and then your opponent played a different enchant world, yours would go to the graveyard and then that one would take place. Because the concept or the lore behind enchant worlds is that you were casting a spell that teleported you guys to a different plane, sort of. So like the abyss, you are taking that fight because at the time the lore is that you and everyone else that had a deck of magic cards is a planeswalker, and you're walking different planes, and whenever you run into another wizard that is also a planeswalker, you guys do magical battle. And so the idea of enchant worlds is okay, we're teleporting this battle somewhere else. And they were never super consistent with like the lore of these or like what they were doing. But mechanically, they are interesting because a enchant world not only does the thing that it does, but it also acts as removal, specifically against enchant worlds. The value of this obviously goes way down when they stop making enchant worlds, and enchant world isn't something that they care about, which, whatever, they decided they didn't like this idea. I thought it's a cool kind of balance knob that they could tweak that they got rid of, but, whatever. I don't think the game is worse for not having them. I just kind of like them. I think they're interesting. That being said, 4 mana for this. This costs 7 mana to try to counter Nether Void. So, that's a lot. You've probably lost that game already. But specifically in this limited, there's a blue card we'll talk about. It's also an enchant world that removes Island Walk and Flying. So if you get this and you're running a bunch of flyers, it's not a bad idea to not put it down right away and to use it to like counter other enchant worlds, because then you go from all your creatures not having flying to all your creatures having their flying back and being +1/+1, which is pretty cool. So I think this one's actually interesting in the space of the card pool itself. I also think it's like perfectly fine in like Commander, I guess, maybe. Enchant World can kind of come up occasionally there, right? Because like people run Concordant Crossroads. I actually can't think of any other Enchant Worlds that see any sort of real play, but Concordant Crossroads shows up sometimes. Although generally, I don't know why you'd be countering a Concordant Crossroads. They're kind of nice for everyone, but maybe maybe. Point is I kind of like this one. I think it's kind of cool. Definitely cost too much. I'd cost it at 3, maybe even 2. 2 if you have balls. 2 I think is fine. I wouldn't even hate 1. I think it would be perfectly fine at 1, right? Like, land tax exists, right? So, like, you can do all that for 1 mana. Why can't you send us to Birdland for a mana? I'd take 2 mana. 4 seems a little much, but whatever. It is a pretty cool card. I like it. It was illustrated by Nicola Leonard. Fantastic art. I really like the art on it. It is nice. It's kind of cool. I like kind of seeing kind of greeny stuff on white cards. when they make sense. And I think it does in this situation. I think it's a cool card, all things considered. It is a reserve list card, though. It costs $1. So that should tell you how good it is. But I think, like, in specifically, like, certain low power environments, well, very specifically, like, this limited, I think it specifically hard counters another rare that hard counters a deck that would be playing this. So that's, I think, kind of interesting. Obviously, like, does that ever come up? Hard to say. But I do think it is interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I got nothing else about this. Serra Bestiary. So, Serra Bestiary is an enchant creature. It costs 2 white mana. It's a common. During your upkeep, pay white, or bury Serra Bestiary. Oh, good. Target creature cannot attack, block, or use any ability that includes tap in the activation cost. Awesome. Draft this every time you see it. 100%. This is removal. Holy shit. There's removal in this set. Quite honestly, it's not terrible. Obviously, this is kind of just, like, a harder to cast passivism that, like, has an upkeep cost for some reason. But passivism doesn't exist yet, so I guess it's fine. Yeah, I don't know. I like this one specifically in draft. Outside of that, you have way better options. This is bad. Don't play this. But I appreciate that there's some, like, kind of interesting and slightly different removal. The upkeep costs, it's a little not great, but, like, whatever. I don't really have, like, too much to say about this. It's 2 mana for a piece of removal, and then obviously, like, you have to keep fucking paying it, which sucks. But if you can, like, play this later against their, like, super big thing that has, like, has a shitload of awkward upkeep costs, then this is banger. You just can't be firing it off on anything, right? Like, you have to fire it off only when you need to. But if you have some discipline with it, it can help you win games. It's pretty neat. It's obviously, like, shit in constructed, but I don't know, like, in draft you have to take the removal you get your hands on, right? And so far this is the closest thing we've got. Yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. I don't hate this. It is pretty bad, but it's not, like, super awful, and it is kind of funny and interesting. This was illustrated by Anson Maddox. I love the art. I think it's really good. I think it's, you know, unsettling, kind of interesting, kind of creepy, in such a cool way. Yes. All right. So, do you remember the legend we talked about? Not Abbott, Shawshank. Fuck, what was her name? Rashka. It was Rashka the Slayer. Alright, you remember this card? It has reach, it costs 5 mana, it's a 3/3, and gives +1/+2 when blocking a black creature. And it's a legend. Alright, so this is Serra Inquisitors. Serra Inquisitors is a 3/3, it's an uncommon, costs 4 and a white mana, and if assigned to block any black creatures, or any black creatures are assigned to block it, Serra Inquisitors gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So this is stupid. This is ridiculous. They are not the same card, right? So what are the differences? Well, the other one is a legend, which is a downside. The other one is 3 and 2 white, which is a downside. You have said, like, that a white mana is much harder to make than any mana. That's just how it works. For those two downsides, it does +1/+2 versus this one's doing +2/+0. You can argue whether this one is better or that one is better. +2 power is usually way better, but +1 power and +2 defense is certainly not nothing. That being said, the other one dies to a Juzam. This one trades with a Juzam. The other one, for being legendary, having less power but more toughness, and costing an extra white pip, gets to block flying creatures. Which certainly isn't nothing. But these two cards are the same card, and neither one of them is any fun to read or to think about. All it is, okay, I have to pay 5 mana for a 3/3. I hope my opponent's playing black. It's like, sure. I don't know, man. Like, there's only 25 white cards, and you have two cards that are like almost identical, and they're both boring. I don't know. I get people. I get the frustrations people have with the Homelands. That being said, like, there's a lot of good here too. Like, these cards aren't like, some of them are pretty interesting, right? There's a couple that I'm pretty excited about, and not only are some of them pretty interesting, but some of them have been like, I don't want to say strong. It's not like we've seen an actually strong card, but a lot of these aren't that bad. But this one is. It's just the same fucking card. It's this. They both cost 5 mana. They're both 3/3s. They both have the same effect, except one's the one, is a legend, and the numbers are mixed around, and also it has reach. Which again, I guess the lore of this is the vampires, and Sarah, like, there's a war specifically between Sarah and the vampires. At least I think, if I'm remembering the lore right, it's something similar to that. And so, like, from a lore point of view, it does make sense that these are good at, like, dealing with the black cards that you want to be dealing with. So I can see it, but, like, there's 25 cards. Can't we come up with a... Is there no other, like... Alright, you already used protection from black, and you don't want to use that again for whatever reason? Can't we just remake Northern Paladin or something? Come on, man. Alright. It's not so bad, but, like, this is just... I'm not a fan. There's only so many cards here. Like, if this was, like, card 60, I'd be like, yeah, whatever, fuck it. Like, I mean, you gotta get the set out, sure. We're 20 cards in, and we've seen two that look pretty much identical. Nobody caught this? Anyway, the art is hilarious. This feels like a reference to something I don't know, that's just sticking at the back of my brain, and I can't quite put my finger at. So, like, if you look at this and are like, oh shit, that's like whatever famous painting or TV show or movie or musical group or whatever this is, it feels like a reference. Maybe it's not. I don't know. This was illustrated by Dennis Detwiller. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. Hopefully I got it close. Sorry if I didn't. I love the art. This is hilarious. It's a little unsettling. It doesn't necessarily feel like magic art to me. But it's the best part of the card by a long shot, so I'm gonna give it a pass on that. Next up is Sarah Paladin, which is a common. It is a 2/2 that costs 2 and 2 white mana, and you can tap it to prevent 1 damage to any creature or player. And then you can pay 1 and 2 white mana, tap it. Attacking does not cause target creature to tap this turn. Alright. I'm feeling like... This is hard. I just keep feeling guilty about how, like, annoyed by these cards I am. So, this one is... One, it's a little expensive. The abilities that it has are not worth what you're doing here. The prevent 1 damage, fine, right? Like, you want this to, like, kind of feel like the Semite Healer, and we're already doing these prevent damage things, but whatever, it's innocuous. If you want that on there, and you're gonna give it another ability, fine. But the 3 mana to make it so that another creature does not tap, like, what are we doing here? So if you were building a Colossus of Sardia deck, that would be pretty fun. You'd be better off just instill energying it, because instill energy exists. That's something that you can do. It's fine. It's just not worth 3 mana and your 2/2 that you spend 4 mana for. Because, like, these abilities tap it, which is fine, right? Like, if you want them to be, like, but make them powerful enough then to, like, because, like, there's no decision here. It's like, do I want to, like, do I save my 1/1 from the pestilence or the dry spell, I guess would be more accurate here, or do I make it so that my my dumb big creature, like, it doesn't tap when it hits in, so I can keep it up for, like, I don't know. Like, it's not like you can play this in your stasis deck with your other fucking vigilance things. It's just, I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't like it. I like the attacking ability is really cool and interesting. It costs way too much mana. The prevention ability is kind of interesting. We've already done that on a different creature in this set. And this is also a paladin. And I get your right, like D&D, your paladins have like lay on hands and stuff like that. So like, sure, like that's fine if you want to do some sort of damage prevention, like because paladins like jump in and protect and stuff like that. There's 1,000 different ways you could rationalize that story. But like, why isn't it like at least 2? We spent 4 mana on this 2/2, and none of the abilities are like, I don't know. It's fine, but like if either of those if neither of those abilities cost any mana, this was a 2/2 and it cost 2 white mana, I'd still be like, it's shittier than like Order a Leaper. It's like it's, but this is just so overcosted. It's not even funny. And like I get that it's a common, sure, but that also doesn't make sense. Are paladins super common? Why do they suck? It doesn't make sense to me as a common because like a paladin feels like it should be an uncommon thing, and the card feels like it shouldn't be terrible. A 4 mana 2/2 with 2 abilities that are awful, and one of them costs you 3 mana. What the fuck? Alright, I guess that's all I got. This was illustrated by Pete Venters, and the art is great. Pete does a fantastic job. Super buff jawline, dude. Like, some of the perspective is a little interesting, but it's great. I like the art. The art, I have no problem with the art of this set, but why is it 4 mana? Couldn't we just take a mana off of like 90% of this set? It would be so much fucking cooler if we did that. Soroya the Falconer is a rare. It's a legend. It's a 2/2 that costs 1 and 3 mana. See, it's not fucking hard. All Falcons get +1/+1. And then it has an activated ability. You can pay 1 in a white, and target Falcon gains banding until end of turn. Alright, so I have some criticisms about this, and we'll get to them. First off, we should note that this card has been errated. This is the only printing of it, because it's on the reserve list. But it's now birds. So target bird, so bird creatures get +1/+1. Target bird creature gains banding until end of turn. I forget what it's called, but they released that I think it's a 2 mana fucking 1/1 flyer. You can run any number of them, and when it like does something, you can get another one. I think if you build a deck with quite a few of those, and you know some of the really juicy white cards, you could maybe not Sarah Avery, but you could run that. That'd be funny. But this actually can be a pretty powerful deck, even up to like bracket 3, I would say. Maybe bracket 4. Probably not bracket 4, but if you ran the real mean white cards and some real stacksy pieces, maybe you could do it. You'd have to probably get lucky with draws. Like I guess you could find land tax pretty decent. I don't know. Point is, I actually like this card. I think this card is super interesting. I think this card is really cool. I think this is like the first card we've seen where it's like, hey, here's a direction. Go ahead and build a deck in this direction. What is that direction? Motherfucking Falcons. All right. Well, I'm digging through this set, and I already got 2 Mesa Falcons, right? So like, that's a good start. I mean, I don't know. It's early into the game, and I don't really know much about deck building, but like, there's some Falcons. I could build a Falcon deck, right? Well, you could, and at the time there was Zephyr Falcon from Legends, which is a solid card. You can do some cool and interesting stuff with it. It's pretty funny. You could, I mean, I'm not saying it's good, but you could reasonably go from that to, or you could go from the Zephyr Falcon and be like, okay, it's got Vigilance. Can I do anything with that? I'm in blue, and you'd be like, oh, hey, I can run Stasis. That's kind of interesting. And then you'd be like, I'm also in white. Be like, ooh, Sarah Angel. It doesn't get the +1/+1, but it's still a fucking great card. Right? Like, there are ways you could, like... And I'm not saying... I'm not saying that you should turn your... Make a Falcon deck and it's just a Stasis deck. Oh, that's so funny. My point here is maybe that's not the direction you go, but the point here is there's two fucking Falcons in the entire game. They printed this set with one fucking Falcon, and we are like 2 years past the four of rule, right? Like this was like you can look at Alpha and be like, I can't believe they printed two goblins with Goblin King, one fucking zombie with Zombie Master, and one fucking Merfolk with Lord of Atlantis. But you could run as many copies of that Merfolk as you wanted. That deck was still technically something you could build. You just didn't have any cool other pieces to go with. Obviously, that fell apart once they're like, okay, the four of rule. But they didn't design that set around the four of rule, which is why that shit happened, right? Like that's why Plague Rats is right. Plague Rats, I think that's the alpha one. I really hope Plague Rats is the alpha one. Anyway, that's why that card is like, you know, less good than it was. It's not super good at any point, but like, it was certainly more exciting when you could have like 20 of them. This never had that opportunity. You got like your white blue and you have 8 Falcons. Good fucking luck. That being said, I love this card. I love this card so much. I think it's interesting. I think it's a super fun commander card specifically. I think building around this is super cool. With the errata of it having birds and you know, all of the whippoorwills and the fucking falcons and the vultures and the summon albatross that we'll be talking about in the blue card. When all of that gets down to birds, this is awesome. This is really cool. It's a very cool idea. And cards like this are especially nice for new players because it gives you a fucking direction to start it. Like, it's way easier to figure things out and to make some mistakes when you at least have a fucking goal, right? Like, it's hard to, like, if you don't really understand much about Magic, it's like, you can't build a deck. Like, what do you put in it? What's even good? I don't know what's going on. But you can read the word Falcon, right? So I like stuff like this. I think this was awesome. I think it's funny to like I'm praising how like cool this kind of design is for newer players, but then it also gives Falcons banding without explaining what the fuck that means, which is fucking hilarious. But looking past that, I think this is very, very cool. I also think the banding's pretty good, right? Going back to the commander deck, like you build a commander deck, Healing Hawk, and all those fucking card advantage engine hawks that give you more of them. And you, like, 2 mana give something banned, and you can just fucking chump everything forever. It's great. It's amazing. And when you win, everyone will be like, I can't believe I fucking lost to this. It's the chattest thing in the world. I love it. Look at this fucking thing. I really, like, I'm a big fan of this card. I think it's great. Super fucking cool. Super interesting. I think obviously it's like not a good commander, right? Like, because you're stuck in mono white, which is rough to begin with. But I don't know. I like it. I think at this point you could make a functional deck with it, which is pretty interesting and isn't something that you could say for a long time. In fact, part of me, like when I saw that, it was my first thought actually. When I saw, fuck, I don't remember how many years ago this was. I don't remember what the fucking card is. I'll put it up here right in front of the thing so you know what I'm talking about. But when I saw that, it said you can run any number of this thing, and when it does search it, I'm like, dude, I bet you whoever made this just really wanted to make their Soroya deck playable. So my first thought is like, holy shit, is this the card? This is it. We did it. Point is, this is cool. I wish Homelands had more stuff like this. But even this, they fucked up. The Falcon thing, this is unacceptable. There's 2 Falcons in the entire fucking game. It's like, what are you fucking doing? At least there's 1 Falcon, right? Like this is less egregious than like the fucking hero thing. Again, what if this is the only product that this group ever has? This is a rare and the Falcons are common, so odds are like there's pretty good odds that they'll get at least a couple of them, right? If they like open a box or two, there's probably a couple of them. But like, it's very likely you get that one where it's fucking heroes pump it up, and this is the only product you have, so there's no Banalish heroes or anything, and the only hero in the game is another rare, and you just didn't get that rare. Like, that's just bullshit. Like that's just bad game design. Like, who fucking did that? Like, that's just like zero concern for the player experience in that instance, which is crazy. This I don't think they did quite so bad as, and I think this card just kind of inherited the problem per se. Like, what do? They write bird on it? Because there's like also like other than Birds of Paradise, which is a mana bird, like picking one and just going with it. Like what else could they have done? They should have printed more Falcons in this set, I think. I guess what I'm saying is I don't think that the Falconer problem was quite on Homelands in the same way that like the other, like the hero problem is. That one I think is just like, what are you fucking doing? At least put a fucking hero at common if you're gonna do this. But oh well. This was illustrated by Dennis Dittwiller as well, and fantastic. I love this art so much. It has this kind of soft saturation to it, and the contrast is kind of low, and it just, I don't know, it just feels homey. It's bright, it feels like a nice day, it's just nice to look at. The Falconer has this kind of smug look on her face, but like, it's well done. I like this a lot. It's a great card. It's probably one of my favorite cards in the set, other than, you know, a couple blue cards that I think are pretty cool. But this one's great. Obviously, I've spent probably 20 minutes giving them to you. But it's a pretty cool card. It's on the reserve list. Pick your copy up now. Like, it's going straight to the fucking moon. It's almost $3. Hell yeah. We are gonna end these white cards on some cool fucking cards. I've been way too harsh on this fucking set. I've been mad about how mad I'm being. And I'm just gonna read the card. Sorry. This is Trade Caravan. It is a 1/1 that costs a white mana. During your upkeep, put a currency counter on Trade Caravan. And then you can pay 0, remove 2 currency counters from Trade Caravan to untap target basic land. Use this ability only during your opponent's upkeep. This is fucking awesome. Now, this is awesome for a couple reasons. One, it's kind of white ramp, especially if you have any instants or anything. You know, you could do stuff with that, right? It's pretty sneaky. But also, like, even without that, like, it's obviously not a super efficient card, right? But it is, like, it's a 1/1 that is, you know, kind of has a Thallid ability going on it, right? So you get this out, you got some free trucking, you get those caravan hands going, and then, you know, bada bing, bada boom, you untap a fucking land, and you do it again, and 2 turns later, and you're fucking, you know, hell yeah. No, the ability is interesting. It's pretty slow. I wouldn't call it necessarily super good, but it's really fucking interesting. They haven't really done anything like this before. Obviously they have untapped lands, right? So there's Ley Druid and stuff like that, but that's not really what's going on here. This is a different story. Like, you could say the ability is kind of the same, and it kind of is, but you mess around with counters and stuff like that. And just because they've done an ability once or twice doesn't mean that they can't do something similar but different. Otherwise, we wouldn't have any fucking cards. So I think this is really interesting. But the thing I like about this most is that this is just, I really like, you saw this decent amount in early Magic, but they don't really do it anymore, where they're just telling non-violent stories. So, like, the first example I can think of is Merchant Ship in Arabian Nights. Merchant Ship is such a cool card. It's not good, per se. Like, I think it has Island Home. Maybe it can only attack if they have an island. But it's a 0/1 or 0/2 or something like that. And when you, like, get on in with it, you gain a life. And the idea is like, oh, I'm not attacking with the Merchant Ship. I'm trading. I'm sending it across the ocean, trading some supplies with, you know, this wizard that I'm battling with. And I'm gaining life from it. Like, I'm gaining resources from this. Like I said, it's not good, but it's interesting. It's a cool story. It's fun. It's a card that just like kind of makes the game more of a story in such an interesting way. This set is obviously full of lore, and the set and the design is way more concerned with telling a good story than it is with interesting and complex game design. And that's fine. Like, I don't really have a criticism against that, but I just would like the cards to at least work or be, like, appealing at all to play. And this one is. This one is awesome. I like this. It's, again, not strong, but I don't know. I don't think it's terrible. In fact, I think it's pretty fun. And really, I think that's the most important thing with cards. Power level is important to an extent, as far as like people don't like to lose against bullshit. So like if they're trying to play this game, and you know your opponent is like casting time log, and so you're like, all right, it's turn 4. Finally, I'm gonna play my Sarah Paladin, and then they're like, cool, I'm gonna mana drain that. And then they go to their turn, and then they're like, all right, using the 4 mana I got off of that, and these 2 that I have, I'm going to amnesia you. And, like, that's your game experience. Like making new cards weaker doesn't fix this problem at all. And so, like, sure, if you want to depower the environment, I get that. But, like, at least to have the cards be appealing. I don't know. But this is what Trade Caravan... Like, this is cool. This is cool. I don't think this is good, but at least they, you know, when they mana drain it, they only get 1. They won't mana drain this. Hell yeah, right? Because they don't get anything from it. They'll just let you have your dumb, stupid guy. Trade Caravan is cool. I really like cards like this. I think this is a really cool idea. I think this is super fun. These were illustrated by Kaya Folio, and I am not quiet about how much I love her art, and this one is also fantastic. I really, really love these 2 pieces. This one is great. I love these little creatures here that are just fucking weird. Like, you have a fucking polar bear, a giraffe, and what I don't know, it kind of looks like a really big, like, platypus. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but that doesn't make me love it any less. And the other one is this one. And I like this one too. I actually like them kind of both the same. I don't know that I could pick, like... If I was running Trade Caravan, I'd have to run at least 2 copies, because I don't think I could pick which art I like better. This one is so cool. It's got the turtle, it's got the spider creature. It's just, there's so much fun and whimsy in these 2 arts. It's just wonderful. It's just fantastic. This is a fucking Magic card. This is the shit that like gets neurons firing. It doesn't have to be powerful. It just has to be interesting, unique, and like something that's potentially useful. And like these cards were printed only once and they're worth fuck all, so like obviously the test of time has said that these aren't useful, which is fine. I still think they're pretty cool. And when you're playing slower games, it's kind of interesting. As far as like draft, I think they're like fine. They're not better or worse than anything else. If you can be doing shit with your mana on their upkeep, sure, it's valuable. If you can't, then it doesn't do anything, right? Because, like, the mana's only good on their turn. That being said, 1 land is all it takes to hit them with the swords, you know? So this means that you can fucking overcommit the turn that you need to hit them with the swords instead of, like, saving that mana. And then, as long as you time your currency right, bada bing, bada boom. Super cool. I also like that this is, so this isn't the first time they've done stuff like this. Obviously, I mentioned Merchant Ship, and then Cation Money Changers is another one where they did something similar. I really appreciate that this is, oh, we're doing the caravan thing, and it's not, we're doing the caravan thing, here's some fucking life gain. It's a different, like, resource gain that is interesting, way more fucking useful, arguably. Well, not even arguably. Having an extra mana is way better, even, like, that you can only use on your opponent's turn is way better than having 1 life. So I really appreciate that. But we are on to the last one that we have to talk about, which is another card that I think is fucking cool. So let's talk about it. Yeah! Truce, baby! Truce is an instant. Oh my god, you could use this with Trade Caravan. Let's go back to Trade Caravan. It's way good. If you get this, draft the shit out of every Trade Caravan you see. Truce is a rare. It is an instant and costs 2 and a white mana. Each player may draw up to 2 cards. For each card less than 2 any player draws, that player gains 2 life. Okay, so you cast this. Your opponent draws 2 cards and you gain 4 life. Or you cast this and you draw 2 cards and your opponent gains 4 life. Or more likely, you cast this and everybody draws two cards. This is awesome. This is very cool. But man, how come when I first started hearing about Commander and first getting into it, all I ever heard is there's no card draw or ramp in White. There's nobody playing during Homelands? What are you talking about? We had ramp with Trade Caravan and we got card draw with Truce. I like Truce. Truce is a fun card. I wouldn't say Truce is necessarily a bad card, but it probably is. The draw is a May ability, so you can choose not to take the draw if, like, taking the draw would be bad for you for whatever reason, right? So you're never going to mill your opponent out with this. I mean, you might, like, if you start the game with, like, 4 truces before they know you're on mill, then maybe you could, these could help mill them out. But it's a mace, right? So it's never going to, like, it's never going to do anything like that. You can't, like, play this in a Chains of Mephistopheles deck to fuck on somebody. So it's not good in that sense. But it is interesting. It makes you think. Drawing cards, especially in White at the time, super cool. Like, this is just neat. It's objectively kind of a bad card, but it's not, like, incredibly bad. And it's not so objectively a bad card that it didn't see play. Like, it saw a tournament play. And again, they had to play 5 cards from Homelands. But somebody picked this one. This one is neat. You can definitely do stuff with it. It's really funny in group hug, and, like, if you're gonna do anything, damage them for how many cards they have in their hand, kind of stuff. Like this, maybe. But again, like, if they once they figure that out, they'll just be like, yeah, okay, I'll take 4 life. Well, fuck you then, bud. It's a truce. You're casting this. Neither one of us is coming ahead per se. I mean, we might be, but what we're really getting is time to kind of work in the shadows a little bit. We're not going to directly hit each other. We're going to take some time here. We're going to have truce discussions, give a little each, learn a little bit, recover a little bit. I think that's great. I think this is fantastic. This is an awesome card. Not because it's particularly strong, it certainly isn't, but because it's interesting, because it makes you think, because it's cool. This was illustrated by Melissa A. Benson, classic artist from one of the first 25. She has some really iconic, awesome art, and this one is great. I certainly wouldn't call it iconic, but I would call it interesting. Like, there's the story, the art really helps capture this story. I don't know how well the story would be told to us if there wasn't art on this card. It just said truce, and then, like, obviously you'd get there. But I think that you know, I think the story does a really good job on this. I think this art is well done. Okay, so that's all of the White cards. Overall, I can see the complaints that people have against Homelands. There are some really undesirable cards in here, and even the desirable cards are not strong. At least in the White cards. It's far too early for us to discuss the set as a whole, so keep that in mind. But the White cards are pretty bad. I don't really like getting too deep into the philosophy of the color pie in these reviews, because these sets are so old and they were still figuring things out, but this set in particular really doesn't play to the strengths of White. In fact, mechanically, this set seems to have a really poor understanding of what makes the color pie so interesting and special. Everything is pretty surface level. There are knights and paladins and healing and damage prevention and a little flying. And to be fair, White has always been the color that has been the trickiest to make feel separate from the others, but the White cards feel especially surface level in this set. That being said, there are some really cool White cards in this set that I think could definitely see more play. Maybe not in competitive Magic, but there is a lot of fun Magic that isn't competitive. But that's really all I have to say on just the White cards. We'll talk more about the ups and downs of this set once we've had the context of the entire card pool. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the White cards specifically, though, so leave a comment with any insights, disagreements, or any experience you have with these cards, as I would love to hear your perspective. And of course, you can like the video if you liked it, you can subscribe if you give a shit, but either way, I hope you have a magical day. Thank you for watching.